Hi everyone, Vanessa here from Love Riley. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be sewing up the gift shoulder bag. This is a brand new designer. It's so awesome pattern and this bag is just adorable. When I saw a photo of this bag and the designer asking for testers, straight away when I saw this bow, I was like, yes, me, pick me, pick me. And I'm so glad that I was chosen because this bag is just cute. I absolutely love the way that this strap comes together. I've never sewn a strap like this before and it's a genius. The strap actually gets sewn to the lining of the bag. Never done that before. There were a lot of firsts with this bag. This bow is the absolute showstopper. It is just beautiful. This is the back of the bag. Please don't pay attention to the fact that I have both silver and gold hardware on this bag. I actually went backwards and forwards between hardware and what connectors I was going to use. Ultimately, I chose gold, but I forgot to add a gold nameplate to the little box of hardware, so we'll forget that. This is the base of the bag. It's a great size bag. The way that this zipper gets attached to the bag, I've never ever attached a zipper before like that, so keep that in mind. Let me just say that this lining fit absolutely perfect. It is beautiful. On the front of the bag where the bow is, I don't have anything on that side of the bag. On the back of the bag, I have a divided slip pocket here. Again, I used waterproof canvas for that. I love how much room there is on the inside of this bag. Your handle does not detach. It is sewn into the bag. You could make it a detachable strap. So instead of having a connector like I have, all you would do would be to put some D-rings there and put some swivel clasps on the end of your strap. And then it would be detachable. Okay, so some notes about this bag. There are a few steps in this bag that require you to use glue. The bow here actually gets attached using super glue. It is a drop-in lining, so keep that in mind. If you wanted to attach the bow to the bag and sew it on, you would need to do that before you assemble the exterior of your bag. Just keep in mind that if you do that, you're going to have this bulk when you're trying to assemble your bag. As I said, the zipper, I've never ever constructed a bag with the zipper the way that it is. I'm not a fan of the wavy zipper. I've tried and tried and tried to straighten it. It actually did become a lot straighter when the bag actually sat and relaxed overnight. If you assemble the bag the way that it is in the pattern, what I would recommend is to iron your zipper before you install it to make sure that there's no waves at all in it, because your zipper does not essentially get sewn into a seam. What happens is it gets attached to the bag using glue. So it gets attached to the exterior of the bag and it gets sewn into the bag when you do your top stitching after you've done your drop-in lining. So just keep that in mind. Also, the connectors in this bag, they are not meant to sit as high as mine are. For some reason, when I went to attach it to the bag, I thought that they needed to sit higher than what they do, because they get attached to the lining. So I actually added extra length onto my connectors. That was not required. So they actually do not sit this high when you do the bag as the pattern is. That was just a mistake on my behalf. If you're going to use cotton for your bow, I would suggest using Decaville Heavy or a very stiff interfacing for the bow tails, just to give them more structure if you're using cotton. And I can show you that on the other bag that I made. I went ahead and I added Chicago screws to my connectors on the inside of the bag. I didn't need to do this, but I thought it would be a good idea to give more structure to the side of the bag. If I actually had have done it as was meant in the pattern, I would not have needed to do this. And as it was, they actually ended up pulling through my bag, which then meant that I had to redo them on the outside of the bag. I'm not at all disappointed with the look of the Chicago screw on the outside, but it wasn't needed. So on my second bag that I made, I didn't even need to do it. I didn't do it. It also posed a problem when I went to do my final top stitching. These connectors got in the way and I just do not recommend it. Follow the pattern and you'll be fine. If you didn't want to do a zipper, you could add a magnet. You could add one in the middle, one on either side. The choice is yours. That's also an option if you didn't want to do the zipper. This bag, you'll see in the video, I'd never made one of these before. I don't do test bags before I do the video. I just dive in and it is what it is. You see what happens when I make the bag, because when you are sewing a bag, you don't do a test one before you dive in and sew it. So I don't do that. I prefer that if I'm going to make mistakes, it's likely that you may make the similar mistake and we can learn together and I can show you what not to do. So that's why I don't normally do a test bag before I do the videos. It would save a lot of time if I did, but again, it's not my real experience. So that's why I do that. Also, air conditioning noise. So when I was making this bag, because it's been quite a few days since I made it, it was extremely hot here and I wasn't able to work out in my studio, also known as the shed, without the air conditioner on. What I've tried to do is for those parts where I either fast forward the video or I'm not talking, I've actually just lowered the volume so that you don't have that noise. Again, I apologise, but I had to be comfortable when sewing, so that's that. When it came time to put the zipper pull on, which was the last step, I must admit my heart sank. I was so upset because this bag is amazing, and when I did the zipper up, it was wonky and I can't deal with wonky zippers. And I was upset and I was disappointed in the fact that I should have known to iron the zipper. But again, I've never installed a zipper like that before. I've never come across this issue. If you use glue for the bag, especially for the zipper, you need to be really careful that you do not put too much glue on the zipper. You risk it coming out the top seam when you sew it. And even though your glue may dry clear, on a black zipper tape, you're still going to be able to see it. There were a couple of spots on the bag that I was able to see it, which I still can, which is just here. I was not a fan of that. So I wasn't sure if I was ever going to make the bag again. But then I thought there's got to be a way for me to be able to sew this bag and absolutely love everything about it. So I thought, you know what, it would be absolutely amazing if we could add a recessed zipper panel to this bag and do the zipper that way. You're not taking away from the shape of the bag. It is absolutely beautiful when it's finished. So my good friend Belinda at Brymax, who's also a tester for this bag, I reached out to her and I said, can you tell me how I add a recessed zipper panel to a pattern when it doesn't come with one? And she was amazing. She told me exactly what dimensions I should do the recessed zipper as, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened when I made this bag for the second time. There is another video that I will release, which will be after this one, and it's with the recessed zipper panel. And let me just say that yes, I will get templates for this bag, but it'll be with a recessed zipper panel. So let me grab that bag. Look at it. Look at this. Look at it. Look at this recessed zipper panel. It is absolutely perfect. And as you can see, this bag is still an incredible shape. It is not taken away from the bag at all. And I do not have a wonky zipper at all. And when I made this bag, I absolutely fell in love with the pattern and went, yes, that's it. And the inside of this bag is still amazing. It's still exactly the same dimensions as the first one. It's just got a recessed zipper panel. So there's an option if you want to do that. Again, this will be in a separate video. I did get permission from the pattern designer to do a recessed zipper panel in this bag. I also shared the dimensions that Belinda and I had come up with. Belinda had come up with, not me, because I was clueless. And I shared those to all the rest of the testers in case they decided that they wanted to add a recessed zipper panel to their bag. I have seen a lot of the tester photos and they don't seem to have wavy zippers, so maybe they went ahead and ironed theirs previous, I'm not sure. But if you would like to see how this gift shoulder bag is made, then please keep watching. It really is an amazing pattern, and it's her first one, so please show her some support, and thank you so much for watching. Love you all. Bye. Okay, so we'll start with all of our exterior pattern pieces. This vinyl here I got from Mia Zen. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's their floral lace textured vinyl. We'll start with our strap. We have one shoulder strap. I've not interfaced this with anything. I've marked a line down the center, and I will add some double-sided tape. So one of these out of our exterior vinyl. Next is my bow band panel. I've got one of these out of my exterior vinyl. I've not interfaced or stabilized that with anything. One of those. This here is my bow tail panel, and I've got two of these out of my exterior vinyl, not interfaced or stabilized with anything. Two of those. This is my bow panel, not interfaced or stabilized with anything. One of those out of my exterior vinyl. These here are my facing panel. We've got two of these out of our exterior vinyl, not interfaced or stabilized with anything. Two of those. These are my main body exterior pieces. I've got two of these out of my exterior vinyl. These do get stabilized, but not yet. So two of those. These here are my strap connector panels. I've got two of these out of my exterior vinyl. I am going to interface these, and I've just got the buckram heavy interfacing that I got from Spotlight. So two of those. Next we'll move on to our lining pieces. This here is a waterproof canvas that I had custom printed through By the Bay Craft Supplies. These are for my main interior, and I've got two of these not interfaced or stabilized with anything. Two of those. I've got two slip pocket panels. This waterproof canvas I got from Spotlight. I do not like it because it frays, but it's all I had. So I've got two of those, and you can seal the edges, which I will do. So two of those for my slip pocket panel. These are my main body stabilizers. It recommends you use Decaville Heavy or Foam. Unfortunately, I didn't read that until after I'd cut out my Decaville Light. So what I'm going to do is one layer of Decaville Light and then one layer of the buckram heavy woven interfacing that I got from Spotlight. I think those two together are going to be fine. I'm just using number 5 zipper tape, black and gold. I got that from Mia Zen. Next we have our hardware. There's not a lot of hardware at all. I've got 2 D-rings. You can use rectangle rings. I might just wait and see if I do want to use rectangle rings. Otherwise, 3/4 inch D-rings, 2 of those. I've got one number 5 zipper pull that I got from Mia Zen, and I've got a nameplate. There's not going to be any room on the front of this bag to put a nameplate, but I may be able to put this on the back. And that's it. That's it for hardware. I will be using number 1167, which is a maroon coloured thread from Proso. I believe that's the equivalent to Tex 70. Everything that I'm using I will leave linked down below. And I've got a size 21 needle. You want your 2 exterior panels. We're going to put these right sides together, and these get sewn with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Hi everyone, Editing Vanessa here. I needed to come back on and refilm this part of the video. This bag is different to the one that you're seeing in the video. This one I'm just making for myself. The pattern designer went ahead and changed this step and let me know so that I could update the video. So I've got right sides together. I'm going to sew with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Now we want to open this out, and we're going to top stitch both sides of this seam down. I'm just going to baste along just here just to keep this open while I top stitch both sides. I'm just doing that 1/8 of an inch from that edge, so it's well within my seam allowance. And I'll do that on both sides. So now is flat on the end. So what you can do is you can run double-sided tape down here just to hold these edges down. My machine does not like when I sew over double-sided tape, so I'm just going to add some masking tape right on the edge just to hold these flat while I top stitch both sides of that seam. Or you can just hold it out flat as you top stitch it down. So now what I'm going to do is top stitch 1/8 of an inch from each side of that seam. So that's it, it's top stitched now on either side of that center seam. So now that that's been done, you can go ahead and add your stabilizer. I have never ever constructed a bag like this before, so I'm very excited to try it. And then from the top edge you want 3/4. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Decaville light, I'm going to fuse that on first I think, and then I'm going to put the woven interfacing over the top. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's all centered, it's all lined up, it's within the guides that we just marked out, and you want to fuse that together. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'm going to let it dry overnight for the glue to stick, and then we'll be able to come back tomorrow and sew the rest of it. Okay, so this is my main panel. I've gone ahead and I've stabilized it, and I'm going to sit that off to the side, and that's going to dry. While we're waiting for that, we can work on our strap. I went ahead and decided to put some interfacing on my strap because I wanted it to be more secure. So this is buckram heavy interfacing that I'm using. Now on the ends of your strap, it gives you a measurement in the pattern of how much we're going to leave unfolded. So mark those, and then what we're going to do is you can use double-sided tape or glue. I'm going to try double-sided tape. I've marked a line down the center, and what we're going to do is start at this mark here, and we're going to fold these edges into the center. We do not need to leave a gap. We're just going to fold these in at that mark, and I'm going to clip these together. And you want to do this down both sides of the strap and stop at the mark on the other end. And you want to make sure that you stop at that other mark that we made down the bottom. Okay, there's our mark there. So we can stop there. So then this is what we have. You want to go ahead and you want to put your square rings or your D-rings on your strap. I think it's going to go better with 1-inch hardware. So I'm going to slip one end of these connectors over here. I think this will look amazing on this bag. And then I'm just going to go ahead and re-clip all this. So I'm going to use these. Look at how gorgeous these are. So there's one side put on, and then I can put this one on. So yes, definitely use 1-inch hardware. Now what we're going to do is put these right sides together. So right sides together, and we're going to sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Then you want to fold these back, and you can glue them or double-sided tape them. I'll use double-sided tape, that way I can do the next step without having to wait for this to dry. So fold those back. Okay. Then what we want to do is we're going to fold these in. I'm going to put more double-sided tape just here. This is wanting to lift up, so it's probably best to do this quickly or glue it. So we're making one big loop. We're going to fold those into the center. Now it is going to be quite bulky here because of those seams, but you're going to fold all of this into the center. Make sure that you've got your connectors on. Before I stick this down, I'm just going to come in here and just remove these corners to try and remove some of that bulk. Make sure you're not cutting through your exterior, but that might help with the bulk. It did. I think because this is so bulky, I am going to have to glue it. I'm just going to wait for that to dry a little bit, but you want to turn it right sides out. So you're looking at the finished side, and you want to move your connectors to the end. Now it does say in the pattern that it's up to you if you want the seam for your strap to be at the back or if you want it to one side. The pattern designer, she prefers it to be to one side, so I think I might just move it around and see where I prefer it to be, and then we can top stitch. So that's in the middle. I think I might have mine up there. Okay, so I've just got mine closer to this connector. I'm going to go ahead and clip all this together before I start top stitching. Now I can top stitch our strap. Now I am going to have to be careful up this end where that seam is. We're going to start down this end, I think, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now I'm going to protect my hardware. I'll use a scrap piece of vinyl to protect my hardware. And because I am using the same colour thread as the vinyl, I didn't worry about back stitching there at the beginning. Now here is where it's going to get thick. Okay, again, I'm going to use scrap vinyl to protect my hardware. And that's done. I think I'm going to want to keep this bag for myself. That's our strap. So with our bow, what you need to do is there's measurements given in the pattern of where we need to mark around the whole complete bow. Then there's an extra set of marks that you have to mark on the shorter side of the bow. So on the outside, on the shorter edge, and you want to do that on both pieces. Then what you want to do is put them right sides together. Okay, so what we're going to do is on the short side where we've marked this mark here, we are going to start sewing from there, and we're going to come down here and we're going to follow this seam allowance that we drew earlier. We're going to come all the way up the inside of the bow, all the way down across and we're going to stop just here. So from here to here. So effectively this whole top edge remains open. So go ahead and sew that. So the stitch length that I'm going to use is going to be a 3, because you do not want to be able to see the stitches when you turn your bow out. And that's what's recommended in the pattern. I'm going to start from this side here. And again, we are starting at that mark that we made earlier. And we're following that seam allowance. And then up the inside, this isn't a big seam allowance. And then back up this side. And then up here, and remember we're stopping at that mark. And I've backstitched twice. So then this is what we have. All this side here is open. Next you want to get your glue and your scissors. We're going to make some snips along this line here. Now you do not want to do them all the way to the line. Just 1/8 of an inch. And you want to do them between those 2 marks, because this is going to get folded over. So go ahead and do that on both sides. And when this gets folded down, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch away from that line. Okay, so I've marked 1/2 inch, and what you can do is you can fold those edges down to meet that mark. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to fold all of these in. And I'm going to glue them. I'm just going to work in tiny sections. And I'm going to clip it as I go. And this is just finishing off this edge that doesn't get sewn. Just here at the top, it is going to be a little bit bulky here with the seams, but you can come in and just snip these if you need to, where they overlap. If it's too bulky, you can come in and just trim a tiny bit out of your seam allowance. Just clip that. Do not clip too much, otherwise you risk clipping too close to your finished edge. By cutting those at 1/8 of an inch, it's ensuring that our snips are not going up to the edge. We're going to end up with a finished edge. There's going to be no snips up there at all. and folding it down to that 1/2 inch mark just means that it's easier for you when you're turning it. So then this is what it looks like on the other side. So you want to go ahead and do that on both sides. Before I do that though, what I am going to do is in the corners here, I'm going to come in with my pinking shears and just trim that down. And that's going to give us a smoother point. If you don't have pinking shears, you can just go ahead and cut small V's. But I am also going to do it up here. Now you need to be really careful when you do this because this is not a big seam allowance. And you don't want to cut any of your stitching away. That bit's done. Then we're going to turn it inside out. I've got my flute cleaner here, which will help me get in those corners. Poke them out as gently as you can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put these right sides together, and you can glue them. I'm going to glue them before I stitch it. I think that's going to be easier, but I'm only going to use a little bit of glue because you really don't want it coming out the top. But you want all these to line up. This is the same glue I was using before, it's just a fuller bottle. Again, just working in little sections. You want to fold this down so that they are completely even. I'm just going to go ahead and clip this as well. It'll probably be easier to flatten this out for when I top stitch. Oh, this is going to look so cute. Okay, last little bit. Okay, so that's all glued. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this clipped and put to the side, and then we can, I think we'll do the other bit of the bow. Next I'm going to get my bow panel, which is our big rectangle. We're going to place this right sides together, and we're going to sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Guess what we're going to do now? We're going to glue down our seams or use double-sided tape. I'm going to glue mine. I'm going to glue it, and I'm going to use masking tape to hold it open. So I'm just laying that down, pushing that seam out. And I'm going to use this masking tape to hold it flat while it dries. There we go, there's one side. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side. So I've removed my double-sided tape, and now we can flip this right sides out. There we go. Now you want to place this in the middle, your seam, so you can mark the center. I'm just going to pinch it. That's going to be my center right there. So all I'm doing is just pinching there and then lining that seam up right there. And then we're going to top stitch either side. I'm going to top stitch the side that doesn't have the seam. Now what we want to do is find the center and I'm just going to mark it. Now what I'm going to do is make another mark, 1/2 inch outside of that. So I'm going to put my 1 inch ruler on there, on that center line, and I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on each side of that center line. I'm going to have my short end come up to that first mark that I made, and I'm going to clip that into place. Just like so. And then I'm going to mark 1 inch there, and I'm going to place this here. So there should be an overlap of both pieces of 1/2 inch. There's 1/2 inch overlap of both of these seams here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark 1/2 inch from this back piece here, and that is going to be in between these two overlapping pieces. So you want to sew 1/4 inch in the center between the two, and this is just going to hold everything in place. Now I did back stitch a few times. There was quite a few different layers there that I was going through, but my machine is fantastic and didn't bother it at all. So this is what it should look like. So at the front, this is exactly what it should look like. Then you're going to probably need super glue because we've got to make a pleat. What I'm going to do is from the front, I'm going to bring wrong sides together, and then I'm going to fold this back just like so. So this is what it should look like. So you want to go ahead and you want to put the create a pleat. This is what it's going to look like from the back. So I'm just going to use some super glue to hold that together. So this is just Loctite. I'm just going to hold that together. I'm just going to go ahead with the glue, and I'm going to put some glue here to hold. Oh, don't you? Just here on the back to hold it open. Oh no, it's going on me. Okay, that's there. Just some in here as well. I am so glad that I did not interface this bow, because it would have been ridiculously thick. And then this is going to get placed. Oh, look at how amazing this is going to look. Okay, I'm going to sit that to the side for the moment, and I'm going to top stitch my bow. Because we're not going to see this bit here, I'm going to start in the center at the top, and I'm going to back stitch just there. So I'm just going to go around 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to go slow. So then this is what we have, and then we're going to glue these together. So it says to use glue, super glue, to glue these together. So I want to find the center, which is right there. So I'm going to put some super glue right here, and I'm going to glue this in place. Oh my goodness, look at this. So that's glued in place. We can set this to the side. Next you want your bow band. I'm going to mark my center. I'm going to add double-sided tape. We get to fold this into the middle. We don't need to glue this. And then we're going to top stitch. 1/8 of an inch from each edge, and then that is going to get wrapped around there like this and sewn into our bag. Now it says with our bow band, find the center, and we can glue it down here, and you want to leave these edges open because this gets put through your bag. So again, adding some super glue. centre and pop that on. Oh, that's going to look amazing. Okay, sit that off to the side. On my main pattern piece, I'm going to mark the placement for my bow. So I'm going to put this right here in the middle. And I'm going to go ahead and mark these. Next, what I want to do is I want to mark, just put a slit between these marks. And this is where the bow's going to be. Now it tells you do not use a punching tool. You just want to do a cut in between those marks. And then I can get rid of these marks. Okay, we're back. It's the next day. I've gone ahead, I've installed my nameplate. I've done it about 3.75 inches from the top and just centered that. So now we're ready to put this together. We're going to put this right sides together and we're going to start clipping it. And you want to clip that on both sides. We're going to sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. I have to apologise that you can hear the air conditioner in the background. It's just so hot here today and I can't sew without it on, so sorry about that. I will get another one, a much quieter one, but today this is what we have. I've gone ahead and I've sewn that at the seam allowance given in the pattern. Now we're going to box the bottom of the bag and we're going to sew that with the seam allowance in the pattern. Just pushing these down. I'm going to butterfly open the seams at the side. I'm just going to come in and just trim these away so that they're even. So that's one side done. So I'm just pulling these together taut until they're flat. Just going to trim that bulk away, flatten these out. I want to match up these seams. And we're going to sew that at the seam allowance given in the pattern. And I am going to come in and do a second row of stitching just beside the first. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on the other side as well. There's one row and I will come in and do a second one. This is what it's looking like on the inside. It does not tell us to trim any seam allowances, so I'm not going to. And then we're going to start gluing this down. Now what we want to do is we want to mark an inch down all the way around. And this is where we're going to fold the top down to. Now it says to mark 1/2 inch on the pattern, but I'm just doing an inch because that's where I'm going to fold to. We want our glue and lots of clips, and we want to start gluing this down. So I'm going to start on the sides, and I'm just going to fold that down to meet the mark that I just made. And then while this is drying, I can go ahead and work on the lining. Alright, so I'm going to set that to the side and let that dry. I've got my 2 strap connectors here. I've added double-sided tape down the center, and I'm going to fold both edges in to meet in the middle. Okay, then you want to get your strap. It gives you 2 different methods in the pattern on how to do your connectors. You can do them as I have, out of all exterior, or there's measurements in the pattern if you want to do half exterior and half the same as your lining. Totally up to you. I've just chosen to do it all this way. What we're going to do is we're going to put this through the other end of our rectangle ring. Now, that's if you are using rectangle rings. I'm using these connectors. This is the back side. So I'm going to flip it over so this is the right side. But when we put our connector through, we're putting it through, we're feeding it through, and we're going to fold this over, and it's going to look like this, which is the wrong side. So you've got your right side facing up towards you, but the fold of your connector piece is also facing up. It looks completely wrong, but this is exactly how it is in the pattern. It gives you a measurement in the pattern of how long this fold should be. So I'm just going to clip it into place just like this. Just like that. And then I'm going to do the same on the other end. So again, this is right side up, but my connector, I'm going to put in wrong sides up. So the seam is facing up, and the fold gets folded over. So I'm going to clip that into place. Again, right side's up, and the fold and the seam of your connector should be wrong sides up. Now, flip it over. So I've got the wrong side of my strap, but I've got the right side of my connector. On your connector piece, there's a measurement given in the pattern, and you need to go ahead and you need to make that mark. So I've just marked that there with chalk. So that's where my mark is, right there. And that is on the right side of my connector, but my strap is the wrong side up. It feels completely wrong. Trust the process. Make sure you use a removable pen or chalk to make these markings. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch around here at 1/8 of an inch. Do not back stitch. That's what it says in the pattern. Do not back stitch. So I'm going to leave long tails. I'm going to protect my hardware. I'm going to stop on that mark. I'm not back stitching. I'm going to leave long tails. Oh, my scissors are, I sit my scissors on my magnet. so they become magnetized, so they stick to everything. Again, I'm going to leave long tails, and then I can get rid of that mark and repeat for this side. I've never constructed a strap like this. Don't backstitch. Everything within me says backstitch, backstitch. Protecting my hardware and my vinyl. And finish at that mark, and I'm going to leave long tails. That's it for that. Okay, I'm going to sit that to the side for the moment, just as it is. Okay, I'm going to do my slip pocket. I'm going to do right sides together, and I'm going to just do 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to leave this top open so that I can turn it through. Turn this right sides out. I'm just going to put some clips here to hold this flat. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this edge. And then that's ready to go on my lining. Okay, I'm going to work on my lining. We've got your 2 facing pieces and your 2 linings. Go ahead and find the center of your facings and the center of your lining panels. You want one of your linings and one of your facings. Now, there's a longer edge which has cutouts on the sides. So when you put it right sides together, it's going to look like this. And then when it's sewn and it's flipped up, you're going to have the swoop at the top as well as these points. You're not going to have these square bits here. So the longer edge goes towards the top. So place that in the center and then line your edges up. So on the pattern piece, it goes up like so. So you've got a bend here and then it goes straight up. You want your facing to go the same way. So you're going to place it face down with these straight edges here lining up, just like that. So this straight edge here is going to match the straight edge on your facing piece. Just like that. And you're going to clip that together and then you're going to sew it with the seam allowance given in the pattern, and you're going to do that on both lining pieces, and then we're going to top stitch. So your lining is going to pucker at the back. That's okay, it's totally fine. So when it's together it's going to look like that, and then it flips up and all matches. Seam allowance given in the pattern. And then this gets flipped up. My seam is underneath my facing, and I'm going to top stitch on the facing. So my seam is pointing up. And you can come in at the sides here and just trim that away if you're worried about bulk. I'm just going to mark my center. I'm going to do it an inch down. So I'm measuring it from this top edge of our facing. I'm going to use hemming clips to hold this in place. Hemming clips are amazing. Now we can go ahead and sew that on. Now it's up to you if you want to make this one big slip pocket or if you want to divide it. I think I may as well just divide it. That's what's in the pattern, so that's what we'll do. So when I get to that center point, I'm going to come up the center and going to back stitch. I'm going to come across one stitch and then back down the side. And then across the bottom. This bottom stitching here is also closing the seam of our pocket. Last side. And that's it. That's our slip pocket done. And one side of our lining done. So here we have a little slip pocket. Oh, how cute. Okay, again, my lining, I'm flipping up and I'm going to top stitch along that facing. You could add a slip pocket on this side and have two. You could add a small zipper pocket, but I'll just leave mine as it is. Trim that down. Okay, then we're going to put right sides together and we're going to clip that into place. You want to make sure that you're matching these up, these panels here, because this is going to be a focal point of your bag. So match these up the best you can. And you want to go ahead and clip all this. With our lining, we're going to go ahead and sew that with the seam allowance given in the pattern. But once I come off the facing area and onto my lining, I'm going to increase the seam allowance, and this is just to make sure that it's not baggy within the bag. So I'm going to start out with the seam allowance that it indicates in the pattern. Okay, and now that I'm off the facing and I'm onto the lining, I'm going to increase that seam allowance. So I've just increased it slightly. I'm going to do the same here. What I'm actually going to do is start at my bigger seam allowance and then come in as I get to the facing and switch to my normal seam allowance. So now I'm starting to come in and this is my normal seam allowance now. Now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and mark an inch down on either side of our facing. And this is where I'm going to fold it down to. So what we want to do is we want to fold this down and glue it, or double-sided tape it. I'm going to glue it, and this becomes our drop-in lining. So we're going to open these up and we're going to fold it down. And then what I'll do is I'll do that, and then I'll leave it for tonight and then come back tomorrow and finish it. So I'm going to start on my sides here. Just before that 1 inch mark, I'm going to put some glue there. I'm going to fold this top edge down to meet that 1 inch mark that I made, and I'm going to start clipping this into place. So as you can see, I'm just folding it down to sit right on that line. Oh my goodness, they look like a pair of shorts, don't they? How gorgeous. So this is what it looks like, our lining. Turn this right sides out. We want our strap, and we're going to turn it so that the seam is up. I do want to put my seam out flat so that it matches the top seam. So I'm going to remove all my clips. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. My seam is flat underneath, and I'm matching up the center of my connector with the seam, and I'm going to push that into place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have to push this out of our way. We're going to lay this down like so. And we're going to stitch this together. Now you want to make sure everything's out of your way. What we're going to do is we're going to stitch it starting at the bottom all the way up. We're going to join up these stitches here that we did earlier. So I'm going to start on the left side, making sure that everything is out of the way as I sew this on. And then I'm going to stop. Going to leave long tails, and I'm going to tie these to pull these to the back and tie them off, just like so. So on the back, I'm going to pull my thread and I'm going to tie that off. I'm just going to do 3 knots in the back, and I'm going to leave the tails not super long but long enough. And then on this side we can start with long tails from the top and sew down to the bottom. And you want to make sure everything is out of your way. You don't want to sew through that lining. And I am going to put some vinyl just back here because there is a height difference. So all the way to the bottom. And I am just going to come across at the bottom just to secure that. It will get secured in our lining anyway. And then I can trim off the excess if you've got any excess. And then I can pull these threads to the back. And we can repeat on the other side. So then this is what we now have. We can turn this inside out. We're going to put this right sides together and sew with the seam allowance given in the pattern. We're going to box our corners, and this gets sewn with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Butterflying out the bottom seam to match the side, and we will be getting our connector, our side connector pieces in this seam. I am just going to come back through and just sew over that connector again, just to make sure that that's well and truly in that seam. And the same for the other side, making sure that you butterfly open those seams. And I'm just going to sew over that connector, the same as I did on the other side. And then that is our lining. Oh wow, look at how gorgeous that is. I love it. Now technically you don't have to put a zipper in, you could put a magnetic snap, but we're going to put the zipper in. You need your exterior and your zipper tape. I'm going to mark 1 inch from the end, and we're going to do the 90-degree turn. Sounds like a dance, doesn't it? Okay, I'm going to separate these, and I'm going to pinch at that line that I created, and I'm going to push my zipper teeth out to the right, and this line that we created should be sitting just underneath the zipper teeth. I'm going to pin that so I can sew it, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Pinch and then push the zipper teeth out to the left, and our fold sits underneath our zipper teeth, and I'm going to pin that in place as well. Then I'm just going to sew down 1/8 of an inch from that edge. And then I can do the other side. I'm not going to bother trimming off the excess. I'm going to leave it on. I've never constructed a zipper like this before, so I'm just going to leave those tails. Then we're going to separate the zipper. Then we've got some markings to make. Now, from the top, we're going to mark 1.5 inches in and place a line there. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and I'm just going from that center seam, that's where I'm marking from. And I'm going to do it on both sides. Next, what we need to do is we need to glue our zipper tape. So that's the front of my bag, and I want that closing to the left. So we need to glue this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this at 1/8 of an inch, and I'm just going to draw a line there. Okay, so that's one side. I'm going to do it on this side as well. Okay, so I've marked that on both sides. And what we want to do is, so this is the front of my bag because that's where the bow's going to go. So what I think I'm going to do is line my teeth up at that beginning mark that I made. What I'm going to do is line up that 1/8 inch mark that I made with the top folded edge of my bag, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. But I'm going to go just a little bit higher than the 1/8 of the inch, just a little bit higher. This gets sewn into your bag when you top stitch. It doesn't get sewn into like a seam as such, I guess. Just going to start there for the moment. So again, this is the front of my bag. So I'm going to start those teeth at that mark that I made. Now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue it just above that 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to start clipping that into place. So I've got my 1/8 of an inch mark, and I'm just putting it just above that. Now you want to try and get it as even as you can. And what we're going to do is where that other mark that we made here, we're going to trail off the zipper. So when we get to there, we're going to glue it and then have the tail coming out unglued. So what I'm going to do is just mark on the back side of my zipper where that mark is, and I know to only glue to there. So where that mark is, there's no more glue past that mark. And you want it to be as even as possible. And you want to do the same for the other side. Now you could also mark a line here and make sure that that's where you place your zipper, but we'll go with this because that's how I've done it. Now you don't want to use a lot of glue because you do not want it to pop out the top. That's going to sit to the side to dry, but that's what it looks like. So when you look on the inside of your bag, you should be looking at the right side of your zipper teeth. So the zipper teeth should be pointing up. So you want to get your main exterior and you want to get your lining. You want to have them so that they're like this, so they're touching each other, base to base. And then we're going to get these corners, and these are going to get sewn together, and so are these corners here. So go ahead and line these up. They should match, and clip these together. These get sewn together with a different seam allowance than what we've been using, so pay attention to that. So go ahead and sew these together. You're going to have to push everything out of your way. We're going to sew that together. Just like so. And then you want to do the same for the other side. So make sure you haven't got it twisted. Line these up. Now, depending on the materials you've used, this is quite bulky. The reason that we did this is to prevent the pulling on your lining when you've got your handle in use. What a great idea. Okay, then we're going to turn our bag inside out, and therefore it'll pull the lining into the bag. I'm trying to not touch that zipper. She says as she pulls clips off. And again. Push all those corners out, and then you can adjust your lining. Wow. Oh my goodness, I love this. Oh, this bag is gorgeous, and I haven't even put the bow on yet. Next we get to put our bow on. So grab your bow. Your center piece for your bow, you want to pull it through the slits that we made earlier. So there's a top one, so feed that through, and then you want this bottom one to go through the bottom slit. So push that through as well. And then you want to come to the inside of your bag and you want to pull these as tight as you can get them. Oh, look at that. Wow. Now, once you're happy with where it is, everything's in the center and looking great, you can come to the inside of your bag, and it says that you can super glue these down. So I think that's what I'll do. I want to pull these as tight as I can. So here's my top one. I'm going to use some Loctite and put that on that connector there. And I am going to use quite a bit, and then I'm going to pull it as taut as I can. Now, while that's drying, I'm also going to put, you can use duct tape. I'm just going to use masking tape, and I'm going to put masking tape over that to hold it in place. Just like that. And then you want to do the bottom one as well. So make sure your lining's pulled out of the way. I'm just going to come to the front and make sure that the bow's where I want it to be. I'm going to put super glue here. And then I'm going to pull it to the back and press it down, making sure I don't get my lining in the way. And I'm pulling that as taut as I can while it quickly dries. I'm just going to use masking tape to hold this while it dries. And then there is our bow on our bag. Oh my goodness, look at that. That is beautiful. Okay, now the final step is to glue everything together and then top stitch, and then it's done. So we're going to need lots of clips and lots of glue. Start by matching up my seams at the sides. I think what I want to do before I start doing that is I want to come in here with a Chicago screw and just secure this to the side. From that seam, that bottom seam there, I'm going to go up 0.25, and I think that's where I'm going to put a Chicago screw, and it'll secure it, but it'll also give me enough room to be able to fold it down when I need to top stitch these together. So that's what that's looking like. I just think that's going to be easier, and that still gives me enough room to be able to fold it down out of the way for when I top stitch. I hope I don't regret that. And I'm going to put some glue in. I'm just putting it along the bottom edge here because I do not want it to come up out of my seams. So I'm going to match up those seams there and put some clips. And then I'm going to come to the other side and do this. So I'm going to do exactly the same as I did on the other side. Matching up these sides. I'm going to put the handle inside the bag and then start gluing everything else. I'm just going to work in small sections. This bit may be a little bit difficult to feel because you've got that zipper tape in the middle. this lining is fitting perfectly within this bag. Okay, so that's one side done. Okay, that's done. We can leave that off to the side to dry, and then the final step is top stitching it. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh, look at that. I'm going to try and start my top stitching close to one of the side seams. Okay, I'm going to have to start it here. Okay, let's go. I'm just trying to keep it as flat as I can. I'm worried about this bit. Yeah, it went right off there. So this bit is really important because this is where you're sewing your zipper to your bag. I'm going to put some vinyl behind this. I do not want this to tear. If I can get it in there. Now, I mean, this is not going to be my best top stitching, but it is what it is. It's just my connectors. I should not have Chicago screwed those down because they just got in my way. Okay, we're done. It's not my best top stitching, but it'll be fine. So let's turn this right sides out. Oh, love it. Wow. Oh, okay. My Chicago screw pulled through here. Oh, that's not ideal at all. And I don't know how I can fix that. Okay. I can fix that, but it's just going to mean that I've got a Chicago screw on the outside of the bag. Maybe it did that to tell me this is what you should have done. So what I'll do is I'll line this up, come in here with my punch, go through that hole as it is and punch through to the outside. And then our Chicago screw will go through all of it. Okay, that is in as tight as I can get it, and of course I'm going to have to repeat for the other side, but you know what, I'm not mad about it. is absolutely fine. So that's what it looks like with the Chicago screw on the outside. Fine. Absolutely fine. I'm glad I could fix that. Okay, that's fixed. Now, all we've got to do is put our zipper pull on. There it is. Wow. Oh, wow. My zipper's a bit wavy, but that's okay. Look at this. Oh, look at that. Oh, I love this. Love it. I am so happy. Look at the lining. Oh, this lining fits perfectly. I want to put a zipper end on. Okay, done. This bag is adorable. Oh my goodness, the bow, everything. I love this bag. This bow is just beautiful. I absolutely love this. And then this is the back. I don't like my wavy zipper. I'm going to keep playing with that. So this is the back of the bag with my nameplate. Oh, I put a silver nameplate on there, not a gold one. Oh my goodness, what a moron. Okay, let's forget the nameplate. I can't believe I did that. And that's the base of the bag. I can't believe I did that. And then the zipper. I'm not happy with my wavy zipper at all. On the inside of the bag. I love the inside of this bag. It fit absolutely perfectly. We've got our divided slip pocket at the back. I just love this bag. Wow, what a pattern. The only thing that I would change on this bag is the zipper, if I could. If you could do a recessed zipper, which I might see if there's a way to do that. I think there would be. I'm just not loving the end result of this zipper, and that's purely because of the way that I glued it, I guess. But I've never installed a zipper like that before. So the only thing that I would look at changing would be to either add a recessed zipper panel, or you could add a turn lock, but I'd worry that that would take away from the bow. If you added a turn lock, you could add magnets instead of having a zipper closure. So just have 2 magnets on either side of the bag. I think that would work as well. Or just 1 magnet in the middle. So I might just see if I can do a recessed zipper panel. If I can, I might try that. I will do a separate video on that. This bag is so cute. Absolutely adorable. I cannot believe that I put silver on there. Thank goodness it's the back. But this bow is the showstopper of the bag. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you go and buy the pattern. Have a great day. Bye.
Standing underneath the lights, look into each other's eyes. Tired snowflakes are coming down, collapse into water when they hit the ground. I hear the sound of empty streets, and yesterday has gone to sleep. So all that's left is you and me. I can't promise you're the only thing I see. Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close Close your eyes and let us fade away.